I'm not making any money, so what?
Maybe I'm not really part of this conversation.
Yeah, well, I don't really have a place to say anything.
As a husband to a pregnant wife, do not feel ashamed that her dad is making more money than you. This entire video will not only just be talking about Andrew, I will also talk about Sarah Kim. Let's start off with Sarah Kim. How are you out here posting your husband doing all these bad things and just documenting it on YouTube videos for your podcast and not doing anything about it? Because some things are meant to be settled privately and you shouldn't be out here humiliating him and just making him look like a good-for-nothing husband. There's nothing wrong with making these podcasts. It's honestly none of my business, but your kid is going to grow up and listen to these podcasts that you have made about your husband and your whole life. And what if one day they just stumble across some comments talking about their own dad being a good-for-nothing, useless husband and was never a breadwinner in the family and the mom has to do everything? It's quite harmful for these to be spread around and having your kid literally hear all these insults hurled at their own dad. Because Sarah Kim, I believe you have the money, I believe you have like a lot of things to do in your life, rather than just sit here and just make your husband look like a bad person. But I'm not standing up for Andrew because some of the things he does is terrible as a husband, so I just really wish that Sarah Kim and her husband can settle this themselves off social media. But moving on, let's talk about Andrew's actions and why he has failed miserably as a person and as a husband. Because how can you be a pastor and be preaching about Bible verses but doing like terrible things to your own wife? This is a recount from someone who was going to the same church that Andrew was going, where he was or is a pastor. So keyword here is it's strange to think that he married someone in the same age range as the young girls he was mentoring and teaching as a trusted adult. For those who do not know, Sarah Kim is 20 and her husband is 28. Okay, how are you pushing literally almost 30 and she just turned like 20? That is a little bit creepy. For those who can't see anything wrong with it, just imagine a 16-year-old dating a 24-year-old. Now, moving on, a few years ago when he was engaged to Sarah, my friends and I noticed Pastor Andy was constantly liking posts of girls from our youth group in bikinis or doing TikTok dances with revealing clothes. I am not a Christian, but it doesn't take a genius to know that a pastor should not be doing that. We thought that it was so weird given the content of the posts and his position as a youth pastor, but also the fact that he was engaged at the same time to a girl who was only 1 to 2 years older than us. Mind you, it was not just once in a while, it was almost every single post. Many of the girls in Sarah's middle school / high school friend group attended our church and grew up with Pastor Andy as a mentor, pastor, and confidant. So does that mean that Sarah met Andrew when she was in high school? Also, I'm not a fan of Sarah Kim, so I do not know anything about how their relationship started, so do correct me in the comments below.
Goodness gracious. Today, as we start, I want to share with you something that I have been struggling with, and it's become a significant thing in my life. It's been really difficult. I have been trying to learn how to speak Korean, okay? And it's very hard, okay? I was born in Illinois behind a cornfield. I wasn't raised around a bunch of Korean people. My Korean is terrible, okay? And I practice, but I suck, and it's kind of embarrassing. And what doesn't help is that there's this person who lives in my house, and she cackles every time I'm speaking in Korean. I'm trying my best, but she loves to laugh at me, and not just laugh at me, but point it out and be like, what did you just say? Can you say that again? Oh my gosh, you sound so stupid. Hold on, and she'll pull out her phone and she'll record it, right? So some of you have had the honor of seeing me humiliate myself on the internet, right? If you've seen any of my wife's videos, and she enjoys this process of pointing it out, and it can be difficult. It's cruel, right? What kind of cruel person does this? And that story has no resolution. I'm doomed. But
okay, let's talk about the fact that you stay at home, do nothing, just game on your PC and make the most noise, while your wife, who is struggling mentally, is trying to sleep because she has a job to work for, 2 jobs in fact, and she has to travel an hour to work and an hour back. Because how can you be so free and not try to take the time out of your day when you have nothing to do to literally sit down and make sure you study hard enough for the language that your wife and her parents use? Because look at your wife, she's literally running social media pages and having the time to even sit down to make podcasts. But it doesn't justify the fact that Sarah is making fun of her husband for not being able to speak a language that she is fluent in. That's just really mean and really disrespectful to your own partner. Also, I like to bring up the fact that he doesn't care about her because he continues to play video games despite her missing from the bed from midnight till early morning. Like, how concentrated are you in the game to not notice your own wife missing?
Chill, wife. I'm gonna let my man play. He just got back in our first week. I'm gonna let my man play. I'm trying to sleep. Screen's obviously like bright and blinking. Bad idea to put the computer inside our bedroom.
Yeah. Keyboard clacking.
Not keyboard, mouse clicking.
Mouse clicking.
And so I'm doing my best to sleep. And it's not just the noise and the light. It's kind of like my rage. I didn't know that was growing inside of me. I was like, wait, like, he's a grown man. He would know when's a reasonable time to stop playing. Maybe 3 hours is normal, but he just got the computer. He could play for another hour or two. 5 hours, yeah, that's a good binge. And so I figured around like 3 a.m. he might come to bed. But the rage grew as he just wouldn't stop. And and I was like, now I'm like upset about not being able to sleep. I'm upset about my reality being shaken at the fact that I've married a gamer dude. I was like, oh, there's no reverse. I just married the guy. And so I go to the living room and I'm like trying to look for a place to sleep so I can at least sleep. And I find our love seat, which is a little 2-person couch that we use in our dining table. So I literally just laid on our love seat. Thank God I'm small enough to fit and use it as a bed. And I must have actually fallen asleep because it's so late. I get woken up by Andrew and I don't know what time it is. I'm disoriented. He goes, my love, how long were you out here for? And I open my eyes and the sun is out. This man is 1, awake, 2, didn't know I was out here till the sun came out. Must have been 7 a.m.
It was probably like, 6 or 7.
Yeah, 6 isn't really helping your case.
Yeah, it was winter time, so the sun comes up later.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so upsetting. Is this my life from now on? And I'm like, my love, have you been playing until now? And you're just like, yes. And I don't even know if you turned off your computer still at that point. I think you just ran out because you just noticed that I wasn't in bed. And I was like, okay, maybe. And at this point too, I wasn't the healthiest version of myself mentally. I had just come out of a really toxic job and I'm also still really young. I'm not able to communicate appropriately. Like, even though I'm really mad and disappointed, this is literally how I'm saying it. I'm like, my love, like, that's a really long time. Like, you know,
No offense, but I fucking hate it when he smells. It's just so goddamn creepy. Like, which part of you as a human think it's funny to see someone else suffer because of your actions?
Sarah will know everything anyway.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, I'm not making any money, so what?
Maybe I'm not really part of this conversation.
Yeah, well, I don't really have a place to say anything.
Yeah, but she was really firm. She goes, no, you guys are married. This is your finances, and you both need to be aware of what's going on and make decisions together. A man is a provider of a home, you know, even though realistically I'll probably be making more money than you for the rest of our lives. But I never minded that.
I don't mind that either.
And I still need a financial provider or contributor. And it's like, how do I express that need to you without bringing guilt or shame along with it?
Yeah.
So then that was really hard for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did I think about what if I married rich?
Yeah.
During those hard times? Probably, yeah. Like, wow, if I just married a really rich dude, this wouldn't be happening. But I'm like, damn, I am the really rich dude.
She wasn't at the time, by the way.
No, not when
we got married.
No, I was getting paid pennies at PwC.
Yeah.
Hourly. But I would say because I was an accounting major, because money makes a lot of sense to me. And I believe that financial literacy is really important. I'm really passionate about it.
Does he seriously think that not making any money for a pregnant wife while being a husband and a man is a flex? Like, it's okay if your wife is doing financially better than you, but it's not okay when you're not doing anything to fix the fact that you have no job, no money, no income for your family. Like, touch wood, if she can't make any more money because she got into a car accident, or like, what if she divorces you? Where are you gonna find the money, man? Sarah's dad is literally laughing at you and trying to make you step up as a man to make money for your family.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, you're telling me you're working like 70, 80 hours a week? And he was like, yeah. And even he was surprised to say it out loud. Like, I was like, how did you do that? He was like, I don't know. I don't know.
And my mom was so eyes onto like teddy bears.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
crazy.
make, I don't know, $3 for every like 50 teddy bears.
Yeah. So they worked hard to get where they are. And your dad has done so well and been intentional about saving and building that, you know, they were able to provide for their kids. And your parents valued that and you kind of inherited that.
Yeah.
Knowing that the mom and dad worked so hard just so she could have a comfortable lifestyle sets a high standard expectation which he could never ever reach.
Becoming, improving ourselves and becoming better people or whatever. I was like, I just feel like, why do I always have to initiate that? And then my mentor was just like, because you're the husband and that's your wife. And if that's just the reality of who she is, then you own that. And that's going to be your job. And I was just like, oh, I felt really humbled. She was a woman and she was like, that's you. And to expect it's always going to be 50-50 and demand that they meet you at what you want, that's just sometimes not fair. And this is part of what it means, you know, like when scripture talks about, the Bible talk about a husband lay down your life for your wife. And she was like, that's part of what it means for you in this relationship, in this marriage, to lay down your life, to not just making sure that you only get as much as you give. Like, no, sometimes you're just going to feel like you're just the one giving and you're giving a lot more than she is. Regardless if that's true or not, even if you feel that way, that's what it means to love, to kind of sacrifice and lay down your life for that and to carry the 90.
So when are you going to get a job and an income for yourself at this point?
But then it seems like you're so far behind like you don't know or not concerned with, or you won't address the baby, you won't talk about the baby, you didn't necessarily ask me like, oh, like, how are you feeling? I needed you to ask me like 5 times a day or something.
At this point, does he think laughing will make anything better? I am just disgusted by this man's behavior because, oh my god, it's your own life. What are you doing? Also, he missed the ultrasound because he was busy gaming, and I like to say that Sarah did defend him when he said that there was nothing much for him to do because he was acting like he doesn't get worried or anxious.
This actually kind of became something that Sarah had to bring up to me because it's interesting, like, I'm not pregnant physically, so it's hard for me to feel like I'm doing anything. And I also am the type to want to help and do something, but I kind of evaluate the situation and see if what I can control, I want to do something about it. But if I recognize I can't really do much, then I'm okay letting it go, right? And I think in this situation, I just felt mostly like, well, there's not much I can do right now, but I'm here and I'm happy and I'm excited. But then Sarah was starting to feel like, hello, I'm not doing this by myself. I need you to be here and invested. I think I'm also just not the type to like really worry and kind of be anxious and want to do a bunch of stuff when I don't necessarily need to. But it was a bit of a wake-up call, and I was like, okay, I need to be 100% invested, because it's so easy, I think, for the father to kind of check out when his wife is pregnant, because one, you can't see it, especially early on, you don't see anything.
Yeah, this was, week 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. And it was when Sarah was feeling especially nauseous, which, on a scale of 1 to 10 was not that high.
No.
Maybe like at most.
I'll get a cracker one way.
Yeah. And so I had to really do my best to feel invested. And I think it really hit me when we had our first ultrasound. And I saw the ultrasound pictures. You remember that? And you got in the car, and I missed it because I had like a work thing. And I picked you up, and you showed me the ultrasound. I just started crying.
Oh, the whole internet saw you crying.
That's right.
But then I was like calling you a crybaby, and then I'm just crying the whole time.
Yeah.
To Andrew's defense, like, totally understandable. And that was me just like vocalizing, I need to know that you are with me in this journey, especially because this is unknown territory for me, and I cannot be alone through that.
I am positive he doesn't even know what herbs or ingredients to put in soups to make for your pregnant wife. And that'll be it for today's video. If there's more things that are coming out, I will make a part 2 as always, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!